FPV has always had a steep learning curve, and most beginners don't give up because flying FPV is hard. They give up because trying to get everything working before the drone even leaves the ground is confusing. But now you can buy a complete beginner kit in HD. The Aquila 20 HD includes the drone, goggles, radio, batteries, and a charger all in one box. So I want to find out whether this is the easiest way for a beginner to learn FPV. Now, how do I forget everything I know about FPV and see if this actually works for beginners? Before we jump in, BETAFPV sent this kit out for review, but this isn't a sponsored video and all opinions are my own. And if you're interested in getting into FPV after watching this, I'll leave links in the description box down below. Now, as this product is aimed at beginners, those with zero FPV experience, that's who I've structured this video around for. So if you're someone who's already flying FPV, this video may not be for you. However, feel free to stick around and share your thoughts in the comments, and welcome to the new pilots to the FPV hobby. After all, we were all beginners at one point. Now, rather than reviewing every single specification about this drone and what comes in this kit, I think I'm going to answer 6 questions that I think every beginner wants answered. But before we do that, let me show you what's inside the box. Inside, you've got the Aquila 20, the Light Radio 4 SE radio, the VR04 HD goggles, 2 batteries, a charger, and pretty much everything you need to get started. The drone itself is tiny. It's a little 2S whoop with a 100mm wheelbase that literally fits in the palm of your hand. It weighs just 127 grams and can fly up to 10 minutes of flight time, and it's powered by the new P1 HD system recording at 1080p. One thing I wasn't expecting to see is that this drone is a C0 class marking. You don't often see these on FPV drones, and depending on where you live, that can make it easier to fly under European drone regulations. So on paper, this really is a complete ready-to-fly kit. But how quickly can a complete beginner get this drone in the air? Now, straight out the box, you're going to need to charge the batteries first, but I'm going to skip that part. And once they're charged though, it's really this simple. Turn on the goggles, turn on the radio, turn on the drone, and everything should already be connected. You arm the drone, and that's it. You're in the air. Honestly, it doesn't get much easier than that. Now, before we get flying, let me explain all the controls on the radio so you know what each switch does. So this is the Light Radio 4 SE that comes with the Aquila 20. So I'm going to explain the controls. So these are your flight controls, your sticks. So normal mode, in your normal mode, this is basically up down. So think of it as a regular Mavic drone. It's up down and it's stable hover. And this would be yaw, where you turn left or right. And this is pitch forward, pitch back. So the drone will do this or come like this. And then this is roll left or right. And then the drone would do either this. Now, as for the buttons, this would be arm and then disarm. These are your flight modes. So right now, this is normal, middle is sport, and then that is manual. So that's full control. And then this button here is your speed. So this would be slow, in the middle is medium, and then there's fast. And then this button is turtle mode. So if you happen to be upside down and you need to flip the drone over, this will toggle turtle mode on, and then you turn it back off, and then you would turn the drone back on again and off you go. When you are in sport and manual mode, this is actually throttle and the controls remain the same again. So this is quite important when you come to controlling the drone and learning FPV. But that is essentially the controls. These 2 buttons are not configured to this drone. However, you will be able to use this controller with other ELRS drones. So this is pretty handy. Now, everything should already be updated with the latest firmware, so you shouldn't need to do anything. So that's really a good start from BETAFPV. They have removed a lot of the usual setup headaches, but getting into the air is one thing. The real question is, can this actually teach you FPV? The drone has 3 flight modes: normal, sport, and manual. Normal mode is going to feel very familiar if you've flown something like a DJI drone before. The drone has a position hold and it hovers nicely, and the left stick simply controls your height. There are also 3 speed settings in slow, medium, and fast. Slow is really slow and probably where most people should start. Medium gives you a bit more confidence once you're comfortable. And fast, well, that's when this little drone starts to move. One thing to note though, you can change the speed while you're flying. But if you want to switch between the flight modes, normal, sport or manual, you'll need to land, disarm and then change the flight mode. Next up is sport mode, or what we call angle mode in FPV. This is where you start learning proper throttle control. There are no flying aids here. The drone can bank much further than normal mode, but it still won't let you completely flip over. What's interesting is that the speed setting also changes how aggressively the drone banks. So if you put this into fast, it can actually get moving pretty quickly. Then when you're ready to put on your big boy pants, there's manual mode, or acro mode as we call it in FPV. This is full control. There's no self-leveling, no limits. It's just you and the drone. And ultimately, that's where every FPV pilot wants to end up. So we'll see how this performs in manual mode later, because that's really the final test. For now, do these flight modes actually help? I think they do. Instead of throwing straight into manual mode, they let you build confidence and progress at your own pace. And if you really want to speed up your learning curve, I'd recommend downloading an FPV simulator. The good news is the Light Radio 4 SE works with simulators, so you can start practicing without worrying about crashing your real drone. Now, before I talk about the digital system, I want to talk about the batteries here, because this is another area where I think Beta FPV kept things surprisingly simple. Normally, FPV batteries can be a little intimidating for beginners because it's not as simple as plugging them in via USB, and rest assured, everything will be fine. You've got to learn a little bit of maths, understand battery voltages and make sure you don't overcharge them, otherwise you risk damaging the batteries or even worse, setting the house on fire. Thankfully, Beta FPV have made this really simple by including a dedicated charger. It's as simple as plugging the battery in, connecting the charger via USB, turning the battery on, and that's it. You'll see the battery voltage displayed along with a flashing red light to show it's charging. And once it reaches 8.7 volts, it automatically stops charging. That makes life much simpler and a lot less stressful for beginners. The other great thing about this charger is it also doubles up as a battery checker. So if you ever want to check the voltage of your batteries, you just plug one in and it will tell you. Now these are 2S lithium high voltage batteries. Now without getting too techie, I've created a cheat sheet. So these are the numbers that you only going to need to know. It's good practice to start getting used to these numbers, because if you get the FPV addiction, and trust me, it's very easy to catch, you're going to need to know them. And I will happily accept any blame if you become addicted. You're welcome. Now, there's a couple of things that we'd like to see. And the first one is that there is no storage mode with this charger. It's not the end of the world, but it's something you'll want when you get into FPV. And the second is that you can only charge one of these batteries at a time. Now, Beta FPV do sell a 3-way charging hub, and it's something I'd probably pick up because you will want to spend more time flying and less time charging batteries. If you're enjoying this video so far, I'd really appreciate a like. It helps push the video out to more people. Also, if you're into drones and FPV, then why not subscribe to the channel? I'll be reviewing more drones in the future and cover topical videos around drones. Also, let me know in the comments, what's the biggest thing stopping you from getting into FPV? Now, let's talk about this fancy new HD system. Back when I started FPV, getting a cheap digital system really wasn't a thing. If you wanted to learn FPV without spending a fortune, analog was the most cost-effective option. The footage wasn't great, but that wasn't the point. The whole purpose of these kits was simply to learn how to fly FPV. Now, Beta FPV have their new P1 HD system, bringing affordable digital FPV to an all-in-one beginner kit like the Aquila 20. There is still an analog version available, but honestly, going digital is a night and day difference in what you could actually see. The picture quality reminds me a lot of the original DJI Vista. It's a nice contrast, punchy colors, and it's clear enough that spotting branches and obstacles is much easier than flying analog. You can also tweak a few picture settings like EV, saturation, sharpness to get the image looking how you like it. For some reason though, there's no option to adjust the white balance, which I thought was a little odd. Hopefully that's something Beta FPV can add in a future firmware update. Now, I don't have the analog version of these goggles to compare them side by side. The only analog drones that I have is my S65 II paired with my Emax goggles. Now, even with that limitation, the difference is obvious. It's simply easier to see where you're flying. And one thing worth mentioning though, when your signal starts dropping, the image begins to break up into digital blocks. You'll see the bitrate dropping on the OSD, along with a red warning around the edge of the screen. And because the DVR is recorded directly inside the goggles, those signal breakups also appear in your recording. Another thing I noticed is that the P1 system gets hot very quickly. Especially if you live somewhere hot like I do in Cyprus. Just don't leave this drone powered on for long periods. Thankfully, both the drone and the goggles display the temperatures in the OSD, and they will warn you if things start to get too hot. So, is it worth spending an extra $100 over the analog version? Personally, I would say yes. Not just because the picture quality is better, but because it's much more enjoyable flying the experience and the footage is somewhat usable. The only question I'd ask yourself is whether you'll plan on investing into the P1 ecosystem, because while this drone is part of this package, the radio in the goggles is something you'll hopefully keep using as you progress. So let's talk about how the radio in the goggles is something that you can grow into. The Light Radio 4 SE uses Express LRS, which is great because it means it could be used with other ELRS compatible drones. So as you begin your FPV journey, you won't need to go out and buy another radio straight away. It also works with FPV simulators. You just plug it into your computer and start practicing. Honestly, that's one of the best ways to learn FPV without crashing your real drone. The only downside is that it isn't the highest quality radio in terms of gimbals, so as you progress, you may eventually want to upgrade. But to get started, I think this is absolutely fine. Now, because these are BETAFPV's digital goggles, they're also compatible with other drones using the P1 system, such as the Media 75 Pro P1 and the HGLRC Draco. So as the P1 ecosystem continues to grow, these goggles should grow with it. Right now though, the ecosystem is still fairly small. To record your footage, you can just use a micro SD card up to 1 TB. But personally, I think a 32GB is just about right, and it doesn't need to be the Extreme Pro version. Now, comfort-wise, I think these are okay, but I think they're a little bit too small for my head. The battery ends up sitting quite high on the back of my head just to get the goggles sitting comfortably, and after a while, I definitely noticed the weight resting on the bridge of my nose. A little more padding and wider head strap would have made a big difference. And speaking of padding, it is removable, but just be careful. When I took mine off in the Cyprus heat, it actually pulled off some of the Velcro away with it, so it's worth taking your time. But even if you eventually upgrade, I don't think these will become useless. I still have my old Emax goggles, and I still use them with my Air 65 too. And I can see these ending up exactly the same way. So you might upgrade your main goggles one day, but you'll still come back and use these with your P1 drones. Now before we see how this little guy flies in manual mode, there are a few other things that I noticed along the way that are worth mentioning. Now one thing I haven't mentioned yet is the noise. It's got that typical high-pitched whoop sound, but once it's a few meters away, it becomes much less noticeable. Another thing worth mentioning is the firmware updates on the goggles and the P1 system. If you're using a Mac like myself, I actually found it easier to just copy the updates to the SD card and then update everything through the goggles. For some reason, the USB didn't work for me. Just be aware that afterwards you may need to rebind the drone to the goggles. And all you need to do is to press this little button on the drone and then press this bind button on the goggles menu. And then after a few seconds, you're good to go again. And if you want to update the drone, you can do this with the Betaflight configurator. Though again, if you're using a Mac, this can be finicky. Though BETAFPV produced some instructions. ChatGPT can help if you get stuck. Now, if you're flying in normal mode, BETAFPV recommend flying indoors or in windless environments and no higher than about 3 meters. And after testing it, I definitely agree. Once the wind starts picking up, the drone could start doing some weird things because it doesn't have enough pitch to fight against it. One feature I do wish they would have added is a panic button. And regardless of whether you're in sport, manual, or normal, it would have been great if you can press one button and it can instantly switch back to normal mode and hover. That would have given beginners a little extra confidence. I know I mentioned this earlier, but having to land every single time to change your flight mode is a little annoying. That being said, how does this guy fly when you graduate to Top Gun and you fly in manual mode? Ow! It flies great for an entry-level drone. It's smooth, predictable, stable, and it happily does flips, rolls, power loops, and the split S maneuvers. It also meets BETAFPV's claimed 10-minute flight time, which I can happily confirm. Like I said earlier, this kit is designed to build your confidence in stages. You start in normal mode, move it into sport, and then finally, manual. Pair that with an FPV simulator and you'll build those skills even quicker. Eventually, you'll reach the point where you're confidently flying this drone, and that's exactly what it's designed to do. That said, wind is definitely this drone's biggest weakness, but that's the same with all small, lightweight FPV drones. And honestly, learning FPV becomes a lot more enjoyable when you can actually see what you're doing in HD. So, has beginner FPV finally become easy? I think it's definitely become easier. The Aquila 20 HD removes a lot of the things that used to put people off in FPV. The setup is simple, the HD picture makes learning easier, and the different flight modes let you build confidence at your own pace. If you're completely new to FPV, then this is a solid place to start. And if you already know that you want to fly DJI, HD0 or Walksnail, I'd probably skip this and invest straight into those ecosystems. But if your goal is to learn FPV without feeling overwhelmed, BETAFPV have done a really great job here. The only thing left to do is to get out and practice, and the best way to start is actually in the simulator. And if you want to know which one, check out this video here. Otherwise, YouTube recommends this video.